A tale of heroism, Earth's last guardian. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the crumbling skyscrapers of what was once New York City, Aria Rocker paused. Her boots, covered in the reclaimed earth, rustled the underbrush as she knelt down. Her breath caught in her throat as a flash of vibrant color caught her eye. There, nestled between an old rusted car frame and a pile of rocks, was a small patch of ghost orchids, flowers that were believed to have gone extinct over a century ago. This was not just a simple botanical find. This was a beacon of life, pulsing silently amidst the ruins. As she gently touched the petals, barely daring to disturb them, her communicator buzzed with the sterile, cold updates from her team orbiting above. They were oblivious to the treasure she had just uncovered. But Aria knew this discovery was more than a scientific anomaly. It was a symbol of Earth's defiance, a sign that against all odds, life was clawing its way back on this abandoned world. And with this realization, a new determination stirred in her. It was a call to arms against those who would see this life crushed under the weight of their greed. Aria trekked deeper into the dense, wild undergrowth that had overtaken the city's famed Central Park. What had once been manicured lawns and orderly paths was now a thriving jungle, a tangled maze of flora and fauna, all humming with life. It was as if nature had conducted its own symphony of revival in the absence of humanity's heavy hand. Her heart raced with excitement and a touch of fear as she heard a rustle in the thick foliage beside her. Slowly, with the caution of a trespasser in this reborn wilderness, she parted the leaves. There, no more than 10 feet away, grazed a creature of imposing size and undeniable majesty, a black rhino. Its rugged armor-like skin glistened under the filtered sunlight, a sight so surreal that Aria's breath hitched. The black rhino had been declared extinct after the last of its kind was reportedly poached back, when Earth was still teeming with human life. Yet here it was. She crouched down, her eyes wide with wonder. The rhino lifted its head, sniffing the air, its small eyes briefly meeting hers. There was a moment of mutual recognition, a silent acknowledgement between species before it returned to grazing. Aria knew this was a critical moment. With a careful, almost reverential step back, she took out her camera, the old, heavy device feeling all the more significant now. She snapped a series of photos, each click capturing a piece of undeniable proof that Earth was healing itself in ways no one in the colonies could have imagined. As she documented this encounter, her mind raced with the implications. If a species as vulnerable as the black rhino could survive and even thrive here, what else might be living in the forgotten corners of the planet? More importantly, how could she protect these miraculous survivors from those who would see them as mere resources to be harvested? The dim glow of the makeshift campfire flickered across Aria's face as she mulled over the gravity of her decision. The ruins around her whispered of a past long forsaken, a world that had once teemed with both the wonders and the recklessness of human ambition. Now, those same ruins stood as silent sentinels to her turmoil. Aria had always been a model engineer for Nova Terra Corp., her work on the Mars colony exemplary. But Earth was different. It wasn't just another assignment or a stepping stone in her career. Every leaf that unfurled, every bird that took flight from the treetops spoke of a world fighting back from the brink. How could she stand by and watch it be plundered once again? Her communicator beeped, a message from her superiors pressing for updates, but she ignored it. Instead, her gaze fell on the figure beside her, Echo, the old robotic assistant. Echo had been left behind during the last evacuations, deemed too outdated to be worth the cost of transport. Over the decades, nature had claimed parts of his frame, vines curling lovingly around his limbs, making him part of the landscape itself. Echo, she stated, I need your help, saying out loud in jest, her mind racing with the problems at hand. The robot turned its head, sensors focusing on her with an antiquated whir, a sound comforting in its familiarity. Command recognized, Aria, Echo responded, his voice crackling slightly. Please specify the nature of assistance required. Shocked, she took a deep breath, the cool night air sharp in her lungs. I plan to stop Novaterra from their operations here. They can't know Earth is recovering. Not yet. They would strip it bare all over again. Echo paused, processing. This unit is programmed to assist in scientific and logistical operations. Sabotage does not fall within designated parameters. How do you wish to proceed? Arya's plan was risky. We need to access the old network hubs. If we can send a looped signal or create a data hole, it might give us enough time to gather more evidence of recovery, enough to sway public opinion, maybe even the colonial governance. Affirmative, Echo replied. There are risks involved in accessing and manipulating Novaterra systems. Potential repercussions include... I know, she cut him off, not needing to hear the list of potential charges against her. Treason, sabotage, espionage. The list went on, but so did the list of species she'd watched roam through the reborn wilds of Earth. With a nod, she stood, Echo rising beside her, an odd pair against the backdrop of a rewilding world. Then let's move. We have work to do. The old tech lab was a relic of a bygone era, its walls overgrown with moss and the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decayed electronics. As Arya and Echo slipped inside, their movements were careful, almost reverent, as they navigated through corridors choked with the debris of a civilization's collapse. Initiating connection, Echo murmured as he plugged into the mainframe. His old circuits whirred and clicked, struggling with the decryption protocols Novaterra had layered over the original systems. Arya kept watch, her mind racing through possible scenarios. They needed time, and every second they remained undiscovered was precious. She had set up a simple network of tripwires around the perimeter. Not much, but enough to give them a warning. Suddenly, a soft ping echoed through the room. One of the tripwires had been triggered. Arya's heart skipped a beat. "Echo, hurry!" she hissed, peeking out the cracked doorway. To her amazement, a small creature, cautious yet curious, emerged from the shadows. It was a rabbit, its coat a mottled blend of grays and browns that mirrored the decaying urban sprawl around them. Its eyes, large and luminous, the rabbit twitched its nose, sniffing the air, seemingly indifferent. For a moment, Arya was captivated by the simplicity and serenity of the scene. The sight of the rabbit, a creature adapting to a world reclaimed by nature, filled her with a renewed sense of purpose. "Back to work, Echo," she whispered, turning her attention back to the screens as the rabbit bounced silently into the darkness. "Connection established," Echo announced. Arya exhaled, relief washing over her briefly before the gravity of their situation pulled her back. "Good. Let's gather what we need and get out of here." Together, they worked quickly. Echo manipulating the data from the mainframe to send false signals back to Novaterra's orbiting base. The silence of the abandoned lab was shattered by the distant roar of approaching engines. Novaterra had sent a recovery team, and they were closing in fast. Arya's pulse quickened as she glanced at Echo, who was already mobilizing, his circuits flashing in preparation. "Prepare the defenses," Arya commanded, and together they activated the lab's old defense systems. Sensors long dormant now blinked to life, ready to protect their sanctuary. Arya set about strategically placing traps around the perimeter, employing old net launchers designed to entangle and immobilize. As the recovery team approached, they triggered the first of the traps. A net exploded upwards, ensnaring a group as they attempted to make their way through the underbrush. Another step, another trap triggered. Each trap was a minor victory, buying Arya crucial minutes as she maneuvered through the lab's labyrinth of corridors, leading the team away from the most sensitive areas. The chase culminated at the edge of what had once been Central Park, now a wild, overgrown jungle thriving with life. Arya stood her ground as the Novaterra team, disoriented, finally caught up, surrounding her in a natural clearing. Arya took a deep breath, clutching a device that held the evidence of Earth's miraculous recovery. "Listen to me," she pleaded into the makeshift broadcast setup she had rigged, her voice heard, not just around the clearing but also across the colonies. Echo patched it through the team's communication lines. Look around you. This planet, our home, is healing itself. We cannot let our greed destroy this second chance." Her words, passionate and sincere, filled the screens and speakers back at the colonies, reaching families, workers, and even executives. Images of thriving plants, the rhinos, the rabbits, and lush greenery scrolled behind her, undeniable proof of her claims. There was a tense pause as the team members, faced with the vivid reality of Earth's resurgence, began to doubt their mission. Whispers filled the air, confusion and conflict evident in their expressions. Their leader, a hardened Nova Terra veteran, stared intently at Arya, the impact of her words not lost on him. "Stand down," he finally ordered, his voice carrying through the jungle. "We need to reassess our directives." As the team withdrew, leaving Arya and Echo amidst the rustling leaves and chirping birds, a cautious hope filled the air. The broadcast had worked, at least for now. Earth's voice had been heard, and its plea for a respite had echoed across the stars, touching the hearts of those who had forgotten the beauty of their once blue planet. Arya Rocker watched as the recovery team retreated. She knew this was only the beginning of a longer fight. She had not asked to become Earth's guardian, but standing among its whispering trees and resilient wildlife, it just felt right. She would have it no other way. This is not goodbye, nor the end. Until the story continues, my friends, be and Rocker.